Good morning, everybody. This is Tom Nowakowski. I appreciate you being here this morning. I see a lot of new friends here today and a bunch of old friends, and it's good to see you again. Hope you enjoy what we have going today. Of course, today is Adjusters247.com News and Views for Claims Professionals weekly webinar. We do this every Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, and we're going to be discussing the past week's podcasts and any topics that you might have that you want us to go and discuss. We'll include that in today's discussion as well. In addition to that, we have a mobile home workshop in today's training segment, and I'll be going over the different things that you need to know about handling mobile home claims, and some material that if you're interested in, I can go and email you after the show and get copies of it to you. Everybody starts off in mute only mode, but if you have any questions, you can go and use the question box. I do check that during the podcast, or I should say the webinar. And if there is anything that you want to discuss or have a question about as we're going through things, just feel free to use that question box. I do monitor it as we go along, and I try to answer the questions as we're going along. The agenda for today, I'm going to give a little bit of an overview on Adjusters247.com. If you've heard the overview before, it's brief, and then we'll get right into the training material. However, we have a lot of new people to the webinar that haven't been as experienced with what Adjusters 24/7 is all about. So I start every webinar with a little bit of a background and some information on what we have coming up, which we have a lot of exciting stuff coming up I'll be telling you about here in just a little bit. I'm going to give you some information about the podcast itself, how to listen and download the podcast. I'm also going to go over the blog post that we send out and show a sample of that. We also are involved in just about every social media outlet that there is out there, and I'll go and I'll explain all of those in addition to the email requests that you can always send and the ways that you can contact us to get answers to questions that you might have. We'll be reviewing all of that information as well. And then, of course, our training segment is going to be on handling mobile home claims. I have a pretty extensive mobile home workshop that I've put together over the years, and we're going to be reviewing some of the pertinent information to that. Once we get done with the training segment, I'll open everything up for questions and answers. And of course, if you have any questions along the way, just use that question box and we can go ahead and answer them as we're moving along. Now, this is the overview of Adjusters247.com, what we do and why we do it. You know, we are a dedicated team of individuals that want to provide claims professionals the information they need to become more efficient and proficient. Now, we honestly have tested this. It's true and honest assessment that a better trained adjuster or claims professional is going to have increased QA scores, lower cycle time, and it's going to improve customer service, not just for the insured, but also for the client themselves. And regardless of the position or the level of experience that you might have, the material that we discuss in each podcast will help all of us do better in our everyday lives. We include a lot of different things that I'll go over here in just a little bit in each podcast to try to go and get people some experience that they don't have. We try to get the experienced adjusters refreshed on different things that are new to the industry, and then we just make sure that we end each podcast with some time management, organizational management, stress management tips that can help each one of us as we move forward. In addition to the daily podcast and the weekly webinar that we do, we also do a weekly newsletter and the daily blog post to distribute the information. All of that can be found on our website. And if you have not been to our website yet, this is our homepage that has a lot of different information on it, a lot of different ways to reach us as you have a question or if you need material, the homepage of the website has a little bit of information about what we offer as far as the training, the seminars. I will tell you we're going to have some face-to-face training seminars that'll be coming up. That'll be free, and we will be having those in various cities in conjunction with some of our sponsors, and we'll be, over the next few weeks, we'll be announcing where those are going to be. On our homepage, we also discuss a little bit about what we do and how we do that. And when you get to this section of the homepage, you will be able to access information from our latest newsletter is here. We can also send a comment or request from this button, sign up for the webinar, which y'all have already found, and subscribe to the blog RSS, where it will automatically come into your screen every single day when the new blog post has been published. If you haven't signed up for our newsletter yet, just go to this link here and just give us your name and your email address, and I send those out every Sunday, and so you'll get an updated newsletter on Sunday. It's something that is very informative, and it has a lot of different things in it that we don't cover in the podcast and we don't cover in the webinar. So be sure to sign up for the newsletter if you're interested. This is a sample of this past week's newsletter, and in it we talked about what to do in preparation of hurricane season, which, believe it or not, starts less than 100 days from now. We also have different news articles. We include different forecast discussions, severe weather forecast for the week coming up, and there's a lot of different links here that you can get all kinds of interesting information pertaining to the claims industry, and those are all listed on our newsletter as well. So if you decide to go and subscribe to the podcast, or not just the podcast, but to the newsletter, you're going to get a lot of different information there, and we try to keep it fresh all the time with relevant current information, so it'll help you out as you're preparing your week to look at what's coming up in our podcast for the coming week, and also different important topics that we have covered and that we see that we need to go and get prepared for. So subscribe to that. It's no charge, of course, and that way you can get on that mailing list, and we can make sure that you get those newsletters. The format for the podcast itself, as I said, we try to go and make sure that it is designed and formatted a little bit for everybody. But even if you're a new adjuster, it would be in your best interest to go and listen to the seasoned adjuster segments as well, because that starts getting you exposed to the different terminology and the different workflows for different types of claims. But we always start off with the introduction and the show's guest list. Then we move right into the severe weather update with storm reports from around the country. We are moving into spring storms. We've already had a pretty busy winter with severe weather, and it's forecast to get even crazier as we get closer to spring and move through spring. So we have not only our severe weather update, but then in our next segment, the storm tips and catastrophe operations segment, we discuss all the current deployments that are currently going on out there, and then we also offer pre and post-storm tips on what you need to do to get ready for deployment. And once a storm has hit in any of the areas, then we have people on the ground that will give us up-to-the-minute updates as to what's going on in that storm location, lodging, different laws, different types of red tape that they're running into. Try to make things easier on the adjusters that are being deployed on where to look for things, and we always start off our shows with those two different topics and segments to make sure that everybody knows what is going on, what's forecast to be in severe weather, and then also once a storm does hit, what they need to do about getting currently deployed and get roof over their head while they are out there. Then we move into the industry news, and that includes discussion of different job opportunities that are currently available. And that could be on the daily side, it could be catastrophe side, it could be liability, it could be commercial. We list all of those during that segment in the podcast, and then any information that I get, I will put on the website so that you have access to it, and it'll also be in the newsletters that we send out each week, and of course we'll cover some of that in the weekly webinars as well. Then we move on to the Adjusting 101 segment, and that's where we offer guidance to our newer adjusters, or as a refresher for those that haven't been out in the field for a while. We kind of keep the information at a basic level in this segment, just to give some background and to deal with the types of claims that new adjusters will be dealing with. We focused heavily this week based on the deployments that we saw with hail and wind and some water to the interior. That way, the adjusters that get out there and are going to be deployed, say in the spring, they're going to have an understanding of what they need to look for and how they need to handle certain claims that are relevant to that time of year and what's currently going on in the market. So every day it's new material and a different topic, but it's geared towards the newer adjusters or those that haven't been out in the field for a length of time. Then we move into our seasoned adjuster time, where we discuss policies, procedures, and technology issues for the adjusters that are experienced, because I've been in this business for 32 years and I learn something new every single day. And there's never a day that goes by that policies aren't changing, procedures aren't changing, and technology changes almost by the minute. And it's easy for a seasoned adjuster to go and fall into a routine or to get stuck in a certain rut that you can get left behind if you don't keep up with the current policies, procedures, and technology. So we concentrate on that in this segment, and then we move on to the time management and organizational tips and tricks. And this is geared towards managers or staff that are working in the insurance claim industry. We go and try to find ways to become more efficient and proficient, either by managing our time more wisely or getting better organized, or even we include stress management. And we're in a very stressful industry to begin with, and it's real easy to get burned out if you don't know how to manage yourself, your personal and your professional lifestyle to go and meet the demands of our business. And so we give tips and tricks on how to do that in that segment. And then we also include a reality check segment where we share the successes and the setbacks that we have all had, and we do it in a way that it's easy to learn from the mistakes and from the victories that people have had in this business. We have different guests that come on to talk about that as well, and I throw my 2 cents in with my experience. And then we move into the show ending, where we talk about the upcoming events and certification classes and all the ways that you can contact us. And at that point, during that segment, we also answer any questions that we receive through the many ways that we have to contact us, and then we talk about what the next podcast is going to involve, and then what the upcoming webinar is going to be talking about as well. Once we go and produce the podcast, and it's produced every day about the same time, and I try to get it all out by lunchtime if possible, and that way all the information is current and it's fresh and it's up to date. And once we do that, it's available within minutes of being produced, either on our RSS feed that you can go and download, or through the various ways that we have to distribute the podcast. And that includes iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, we're in TuneIn, SoundCloud, and several other distribution points, so that you can always get the podcast. You can listen to it. You don't have to download it. You can listen to it from any one of these sites, and you can also download it if you're interested in doing that. What I personally would do, or the way that I always would do it on different podcasts that I look at, is to make sure that you have a file set up for a podcast, and you can download it into it, and then you can listen to it whenever you want to, and have that available for you. The blog post, as soon as I produce the podcast itself, I send out a blog post to everybody, letting them know that it is there. Included in that post is also a show note section where I tell you what we talked about during that podcast, and that'll give you an idea of what to look for when you do go to listen to it. And then we also go and send the post to all of our social media sites, including Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, YouTube, and several others, Pinterest and Snapchat. We're on our Instagram. We're on all of the different social media sites, and we go and we upload all of those into that every single day. Once our post is done and produced, and then of course emails and phone calls from claims professionals needing help always take a priority with us, and they are responded to immediately. We have a team of individuals that are mentors that are interested in getting people the information that they need to succeed, and that's our core purpose, is to make sure that you as an adjuster or claims professional, regardless of the type of insurance claims that you're in, are able to get questions answered, and make suggestions to future topics that we're going to be covering as easily as possible. By now you should know, have a pretty good idea of what we do and how we do it. You also should have a pretty good idea of how to listen to the podcast, how to find us, and you also understand how we communicate with the claim professionals we currently have. Now, in the future, we have a lot of great things that are coming up. And one of the first things is we're trying to expand the number of claims professionals that we reach each podcast, each webinar, each week with the newsletter. So if you could help us by referring your claims associates, either forward them one of our blog posts or refer them to our website, that way they're able to go and get that information and be part of things, so that we can go and make sure that we reach as many claims professionals as possible. We also are adding more and more material to our website, which we've added a bunch this week. We got a bunch coming up next week that'll be in there. And then we also have some additional claims-related sponsors that'll be part of our family here within the next couple of weeks. And then in addition to that, we have a major announcement that's planned within the next few weeks that you want to stay tuned for. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be just adding to the umbrella that we have. It dovetails. All the things that we're doing just dovetail perfectly into making sure that it matches our goal of helping the claims adjusters get the information that they want when they need it, and also assisting in every way possible to make an adjuster's life even easier than we possibly can. And like I said, within the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some major announcements that'll help all adjusters go and improve on their proficiency as they're moving forward. Today's training session is going to be on mobile home claims. I've got a workshop that I've put together that, if you want a copy of this, feel free to email me after the webinar, and I will make sure that you get a copy of it today. It's very involved. It's very informative. I'm not going to go through all of it today, but it is something that is available for you. I will put it on the website as well, so that it's available for everybody there to go and look at. But if you want a copy of it, feel free to send me an email, and I'll make sure that you get that today. But this, I start off with how mobile homes are actually constructed. This is a breakout of the anatomy of a mobile home. And you'll see as we move through some of this material here that when you're dealing with mobile homes, it's a different type of construction, of course, that a regular stick-built house would be. And I have it all broken down by the different segments of the construction, including the roofing. And a couple of things that I want to talk about is if a metal roof is overlaid with a PVC roof over, because you're going to see several different types of roof overs on mobile homes, including metal, shingles, or PVC. But you need to go and make sure that whatever the top layer is basically is what you owe for as an adjuster. If they have a PVC and a metal roof that's damaged there, we would estimate for only the top layer, which in this example would be the PVC materials. We wouldn't owe for both. Mobile homes, when you're dealing with the coverage involved with them, is very limited and very specific on different things that you would cover, including patio covers. And they're commonly referred to as carports by mobile homeowners, but it's important to estimate for them using the patio cover price and Xactimate, and I'm going to show you some Xactimate here in just a little bit, rather than the carport price. In Xactimate, these structures are patio covers if they are attached to the fascia of the mobile home. They are considered carports if they're separate, freestanding, supported by 4 posts in the corner. That would be considered a carport. But if it's attached to the fascia, which most of them are, it would be considered a patio cover, and you would need to go and find that in Xactimate, and again, I'll show you that here in just a little bit. Estimates for relevels should include the Xactimate price to relevel the home, as well as any applicable tie downs and anchors. If the concrete piers have shifted, which most of the times they will if you have a claim like that, it is appropriate to use the Xactimate line item that allows to reset the concrete piers that are underneath the mobile homes and help in the leveling of that mobile home. If the home is a double wide, the roof ridge must be inspected for splitting. Splitting can be evident inside the home as well with the drywall or wallboard damage. If it is split, it's appropriate to allow for roofing repairs and bolt the 2 halves back together again. And you can estimate this by replacing the ridge board, providing for all access, and also jacks for each side of the house. The estimate for releveling should include detaching and resetting the skirting if it is not already blown off. When inspecting the home for wind damage, all windows and doors should be tested to determine if the home has shifted. The way that these mobile homes are constructed, if they're out of square, you're going to have trouble with the windows opening, the doors opening. You're going to see evidence of it inside in the wall panels, in the ceilings if it's joined. They're made to give a little bit, and that's I'm going to show you some areas here in just a little bit, but they're made to give a little bit by the way they're constructed. I mean, hell, they move them down the road and they mostly stay together. But once they're in one place and they're leveled and they're secured, if a big windstorm comes along and knocks them off their piers, or if there's some racking that's been done by the wind, you're going to see evidence of that in different areas. Now, on the interior, walls are mostly constructed of mobile home specific wallboard and not standard drywall. Most often you'll find drywall only in newly constructed mobile homes, and that is very rare as well. The wall bore should be estimated by the sheet, not by the actual square footage. Again, I'm going to show you some Xactimate things here in just a little bit that demonstrate that. Ducts are usually run underneath the home, so this should be taken into account in the estimate. When you're dealing with HVAC or any type of damage to the floor of the mobile homes, usually that's where your duct work is going to be. So if your floor is damaged, generally your duct work is going to be as well, and you need to address that, either why it's not included in your estimate or make sure that it is included in your estimate. Now, on mobile homes that were constructed in the 70s and the 80s, standard grade should be used for virtually every line item. unless it becomes obvious that the material was upgraded at some point. And you're always going to want to talk to the insureds about that, ask them if they had any renovations since they purchased the mobile home. They can point out any renovations that were done prior to them purchasing that unit, and you want to make sure you make a note of that in your reports as well. From the 90s and beyond, you can use average grade in your Xactimate estimating for just about everything, unless it becomes obvious to you that you need something that's either higher value, or if it's really run down, then you'll go back down in level and make sure that your pricing is accurate. And the reason that we need to do this and make sure of this is because the mobile home policies themselves are very specific, and basically I just included and this is an older mobile home citizens policy, but just to let you know, everything in a mobile home when you're repairing it is actual cash value. So you're going to depreciate everything that is there, whether it's a repair or not. Even if you're just repairing one panel, you're still going to show depreciation on that. That's the type of policy that they are, and there's really no endorsement that the insurance could purchase that would give them replacement cost on their mobile home. If there are some carriers that do that, that endorsement would be extremely expensive because of the construction of the mobile homes themselves. But everything on a mobile home is actual cash value, and you want to make sure that you are depreciating any type of item that you're using in that mobile home. This is a dwelling property mobile home, and it is just as specific. And going back to what we talked about last week with vacancy, if you have a mobile home that's been vacant for more than 30 days before the loss, they are not going to be covered for vandalism or sprinkler leakage or glass breakage or water damage. And that is very unique to the mobile home policy in a way that it doesn't offer any type of coverage for those items if that property has been vacant for more than 30 days. I also include in the workshop a depreciation guide so that you can go and take a look at the average lifespan, the useful years of different items, including appliances, right on down the line to clothing and also toys, office equipment, yard goods. It's all included in this depreciation guide, and that'll be included in the mobile home workshop that I send you, and you'll be able to access that if you run into a pinch. And that depreciation guide isn't just for mobile homes, it's for dwellings as well, and commercial policies as well. Now, common repairs. Mobile homes are they are constructed in a way where there's a lot of leaks that occur, but you can stop the leaks or the drafts that are happening in a mobile home by doing some preventive maintenance things. And this I got from a mobile home manufacturer, and it's very inclusive and very thorough, and that's why I've been using it for years. The material hasn't changed, but everything that's listed in here is something that your insureds may ask you questions about. That's why I included all the different repair techniques in this, and also it also offers an insight as to what you need to look at or look for when you are handling a claim on a mobile home. And that includes the different types of sealants and caulk that's available. Most of the time you're going to see on new builds the silicone. It is expensive, but it's excellent for just about every use that they're going to have there. It does last longer. The problem with it is the paint does not stick to it very well, which is why a lot of people use the acrylic latex, because it's a little bit cheaper and it does have good adhesion and longevity, but it also can be painted. So a lot of people like that as well. Then I have the different types of caulks listed here for both interior and exterior applications. The roof coating, there's two different types, the aluminum based and the white roof coating. On the aluminum based, it should be applied to the entire metal roof at least once every 2 years. This will prevent leaks and corrosion from causing leaks inside of the mobile homes themselves. Also, the white roof coating is either acrylic or elastomeric, which is a rubber-based type product. It's more expensive than cool sealing the roof with the aluminum-based sealant, but it does prevent leaks and it reflects the sun's rays, so it keeps the house cooler in the summertime. And living down south, that's a huge important thing. If you can keep these things cooler in the summertime, it reduces electricity that needs to be used, and it also adds to the life of the roof itself, because it doesn't absorb all that heat and get burnt up the way some of these other ones do. When you coat the roof, as I said, it should be every 2 years, and then touch-ups. If the insured see that they need to add additional coating to the roof, they need to, because if not, it's going to go and cause additional damage to the interior, and you'll need to go and explain to the insureds how to do those different things. This is a step-by-step. I'm not going to go through it today. You can read it, of how to go and put the coating onto the roof, how to seal the seams, and it's a step-by-step guide to go and do that. And if you have an insured that's got a question about it, you can always copy and paste from this workbook and send it to them in an email, so that they would have the information that they need to do what they have to do to seal their roof and properly maintain it. Also, I have sections here on identifying a roof leak and what to do once you find one. If the ceiling is stained, it's safe to bet that there's a roof leak somewhere, or it's a condensation problem. Of course, there needs to be a way to determine whether it's condensation, and one of the trips, or I should say tricks, of the trade is, if the condensation stain is usually found on a ceiling panel near an exterior wall, it's usually in a corner, and instead of one large stain, you'll see several smaller circles that'll be there, in that corner. And this is an example of a condensation stain in this painted image here. It'll just be mostly collecting in the corners, and that'll give you an indication that you have a condensation problem inside of that mobile home, not a water leak. So a lot of insureds, they'll look up and they'll see these stains on the ceiling, and they'll say, oh man, I got a leak, I got to put a claim in. And you'll go out there and you'll look at it, and it'll be like this. Typically, that's an indication that either they're not getting enough circulation inside, or it's dealing with a lack of ventilation in the attic area itself, or and there's different things that they can do, such as installing roof vents to increase the air circulation in the roof cavity, keep the inside air circulating with fans. They can also use their furnace fan if they need to go and just keep that air circulating to prevent the condensation buildup. They can use a portable dehumidifier in that room to help with the condensation, and then they can avoid venting their clothes dryer under the house. You see a lot of people that do that, and all it does is cause the condensation to form underneath that floor, and then you'll see it either down at the base of the wall or even in the corners, from that hot air against the cold bottom side of that mobile home. And they can go and try to vent that away from the mobile home, or out from underneath it. That'll help a lot of times with the condensation buildup that they're seeing. They also want to make sure that they check the air registers in their house, and make sure that nothing is blocking that. Whenever air register is covered, it's going to cause an additional amount of condensation inside of the rest of the mobile home, or in that room itself, because it's not getting the circulation of the air. They can look at their storm windows to see if there's condensation forming around those, and also the base of the house itself, to make sure the skirting is well ventilated, the ground is covered with either rolled roofing felt or plastic sheeting, and that the blackboard is intact. And I'll show you that here in just a minute. If there is a leak up on the roof, these are some instructions on on how to repair a leak on the metal mobile home roof. I'll just read you this part or part of this where, just make sure if you have to access a mobile home roof, I try not to get on them at all, if at all possible, just for the fact that, they are so flimsy sometimes. The manufacturers say that it's okay to go and walk on the roofs, but if you do climb it, make sure that you inspect it and the trusses to make sure they are sound and you can safely get on there and it can support your weight. You want to make sure that you are getting up on that roof in a safe manner and not putting yourself in any kind of jeopardy. Whenever possible, your inspection, and if the insured is going to make repairs from the ladder, that's always preferable than getting up on it itself. But we want to make sure that if you do have to get up on there, you space a board along the joists, like in this picture here, the right way to do it, not along the joists themselves. You want to get as much support joist underneath a board as possible before you start crawling on it. And that should be at least a ½ inch thick and at least 2 feet wide and 4 feet long. That way you'll be spanning over several different joists and you'll be able to get up on there without causing too much damage or risking injury to yourself. You also want to make sure that if the insureds ask you, you have a way to show them how to go and patch a hole that's up on their roof if they're going to do it themselves. The instructions are here. Also, the seams on these mobile homes will leak from time to time. That will be the source of the majority of the claims unless something hits the roof. Generally, there's going to be just leaks coming in the inside through the seams. You want to go and make sure that you address each one of the seams when you are inspecting the roof. Don't just take for granted that, say, you've got a ceiling stain on the interior of the living room and you look at just the roof over the living room. Don't make that mistake. A lot of times with the manufactured housing, you're going to have leaks that'll start maybe rooms away and it'll run through the joist system and out into a room, and it'll be totally separate from where the leak originated. Make sure that if you get a claim involving a mobile home that you are inspecting the whole roof, walk your ladder around it, take pictures from all angles, and make sure that you look at the seams, make sure you look at any vents, make sure you're looking at anything that's up there that could be a possible breach. And if you do have a situation like that, you can read at your leisure here what the best way to repair that would be. If you have a whole section of metal roof, the instructions are here on how they replace those. But if you've got a section of roof metal, and you've got a couple of different damaged areas, instead of trying to patch each individual area, the best thing to do would be to go and replace this whole panel from the one side to the next, and that way it'll be able to be sealed properly, and every time you do a patch, you have another area for a potential leak. So this way here, just doing the one replacement of the panel would be in the insured's best interest, and it is the best repair method as well. Again, this shows the different ways and techniques to go and fix or replace those panels. Also, the exterior windows. A flush-mounted window frame screws over the siding of the mobile home itself. If the window has a lap siding mount, the siding covers the window frame screws. The window, if you are replacing windows, keep that in mind, because a lot of adjusters that I've reviewed the work for and have worked for me over the years, they have gone and used a window that is not consistent with what the insureds had there. And you want to make sure that especially if you're dealing with a bedroom window, you don't want to go and advise the insureds that they should alter the size of that window to a smaller opening. I had an insured at one point that wanted to go and put smaller windows in their master bedroom, until I pointed out to them that really these windows are meant as an egress in case of a fire. And it's actually a code requirement in most areas that those bedroom windows on the mobile homes are a certain size. And when they checked the codes for that area, they were told the same thing. So you want to make sure that when you review all this material, that you are able to advise the insureds on different things that they're going to run into when they are making repairs or having somebody come out to make repairs there. Now, if you have the shingles that are up on the mobile homes, you replace those exactly the same way as you would with a site-built home. However, on site-built homes, you can have 2 or 3 different layers of shingles, and depending on the codes, that's acceptable, and the load is made for that. On a mobile home, though, only 1 layer is the limit because of the materials that are used and the different applications. You can only have 1 layer on a mobile home. You can't do a nail over. You can't go and do a second metal roof on top of a metal roof. Only 1 layer is acceptable, and these are all manufacturers that are making these rules, and it's important that the insured understands that, and especially if they are going to replace shingles, you want to try to do it on a hot day so that they will seal better. I see some people trying to do roofing repairs now, not only on mobile homes but stick-built structures as well, and it's cold and you're not giving those tabs a chance to seal properly, and then spring storms come and they go blown bye-bye. So we want to make sure that we advise the insureds to check that before they go and they start doing that. They should inspect their shingles regularly. Even if they're using a 30-year shingle, we all know that that's not realistic at all. Most of the time, about 15 years, and then you're going to be looking at possibly re-roofing that structure. Mobile homes, because of the low slope that they have a tendency to wear out earlier than that. Even on a roof with less pitch, the shingles are more exposed to the sun and the water and the snow, and they wear out quicker. So we need to make sure that we watch for that as well whenever you're doing your inspections. And the insured should be inspecting it as well. And I listed here in this workshop how to do a shingle repair, just so that when you are putting a roof together, an estimate together to replace the roof, what all is involved in that. Remember, the mobile home policies, we don't owe for matching, we don't owe for a whole roof if it can be patched or repaired. The policy states we owe for the less of the cost to repair or replace. And most of the time, unless the house is totaled, you're going to be doing patches. And so I include the material on here on how these patches are made, so you can think about that when you're doing your estimates. And then these are also provided for the skirting issues too that you'll run into, and how to do the different skirting repairs. Again, this is in a format where you can go and copy and paste this to your insureds if they have any questions about things. Now, the belly board, also known as the blackboard, I mentioned it just a little while ago. It's also called the shepherd board or a rodent barrier. It's typically asphalt impregnated fiberboard, and if you've ever seen it, it looks unlike any other insulation. It kind of looks like maybe some foam insulation that you would buy, but it is attached to the underside of the mobile home itself, and it's supposed to keep out all kinds of critters, and it's supposed to help with moisture. And a lot of times when you'll see a leak into the interior, the belly board or the blackboard is going to be damaged, and you're going to have to allow for that in your estimate as well. And the repair process is listed here so that you can see how the repairs are done, and also provide the insureds with a little bit of information on how these repairs are done. This is some information on how to go and deal with any stains onto the interior. I've put this there for you as well. Keep in mind, if you're dealing with fixed wall panels, these homes are not made with drywall. I'm going to show you here in just a minute, but Typically, you're dealing with a panel that comes in a sheet, almost a 4x8 sheet. It's attached with battens to the wall, and you can go and replace those individual panels. Most of the time, those panels will have a data plate for the name and the address of the manufactured home manufacturer. That way you can find out if there are any panels available that the insured can use. But if there is a situation, of course, while I said we don't owe to match, we're not going to put a purple panel up on a yellow wall. If you run into a situation like that, we would replace the damaged panel, and then most carriers will allow you to paint the whole room to match. So keep that in mind as well. But a lot of times you can find these matching panels by getting in touch with the manufacturer, or they can direct you to a place where they can be obtained, and you want to go and use that if at all possible. Next, the wainscoting, like I said, that's this type of panel that I was talking about. You can replace those by the sheet and by the section, and the instructions are here on how to go about doing that. Also, if you do run into a mobile home that has the drywall, and this of course is applicable to stick-built homes as well, the instructions are here on how to repair that hole and to make sure that it is put together correctly so that it's virtually unnoticeable once the patch is completed properly, and all of those instructions are on here as well. Now, on vinyl flooring, a lot of times, vinyl floors are made to drain. They're good. That's why they're used in this application. But you want to make sure that if you have a vinyl floor that is involved in a claim, we want to make sure that you understand just how these floors are built. And let me show you here. This is a cross section of the actual floor of a mobile home and how they're constructed. You start off with your chassis here and your outrigger support. This is the belly board that goes right before the insulation. The insulation, then you've got your subfloor, you've got your joists, your vapor barrier, and then you get to your flooring material. The way they construct these mobile homes is they start off with just the chassis, and then they'll put just the blackboard down, and then just the insulation, the ductwork, the plumbing, then the joists. All this is built like making a sandwich, and it includes the flooring material. None of it is pieced together like you would see in a site-built home. And that's why when you go to replace, let's say, vinyl that's been damaged, you have to allow for the whole section, because that's the way it's constructed. You may have to go, and a lot of times the subfloor is going to be particle board, and you're going to have swelled particle board, so you're going to have to get down to that, and then you got a vapor barrier between that and the subfloor itself. Your ductwork is going to run between the subfloor joists and the actual blackboard, and insulation are going to be below that. So you need to make sure that you look at this cross section. If you're dealing with any type of flooring damage, this could be carpet, it could be vinyl, but when they put all of this together first before they put the walls down, before they go and put the wall joists in or anything fixture wise or anything else like that, they build them like this so that they are more stable and secure for transport, and because they're going to be leveled, and they want to make sure that that's why the leveling is so important, to make sure that everything stays in square. But you want to make sure that you take a look at this material and how they're constructed, so that if you have any issues that you're dealing with having to pay for, you can not only put the estimate together correctly, but you can advise the insureds as to what the process is going to be. And if you sound more educated on these things, it's just going to add to your credibility, and it's going to make your claims handling career a lot better and go a lot smoother if you can come across as credible and reliable when you're dealing with the insureds or with the carriers for that matter. But this is a good piece of of material for you to have when you're dealing with mobile homes, and you can refer to it at any time. Replacing ceiling panels is very similar to replacing the wall panels, but I have the instructions here for that as well. And then Xactimate. Let me pull up my Xactimate here, and so you can see the Xactimate. The best way to find mobile home stuff in Xactimate is just do a search when you get into your claim for mobile home. It's all you have to put into your search box, and it'll bring you up many different items and construction products that are just for mobile homes. You'll notice that the pricing is considerably different than it is for a stick built. Normally, these are of a different grade. They are dealing mostly with thinner materials, and whether it's the doors or the windows or any type of access doors that you'll see, or any window, anything that is mobile home related, all you have to do is a search in Xactimate with the words mobile home, and it'll bring those up. Use these all the time if you can. Now, if you are dealing with something that is not of mobile home quality, then you don't have to use these. But if you are using, just a regular standard mobile home, all of these items are available for you, and the sizes a lot of time on the mobile home doors and everything else are different than what they are in the stick-built home. So you want to use those as much as possible. But what I always do is I'll get some of these items, the more familiar or the more common repair items, and then I'll build a macro out of them so that you can go and have a macro used for future claims. But if you run into a situation where you're going to have an estimate that you have to put together for a mobile home, what I always do, even to this day, is I come here, because these change all the time, and they add different things as mobile homes get fancier and they get made with different products. Xactimate's done a pretty good job of keeping up with those things, but you want to make sure that you use whatever mobile home item that is available here before you start looking at your regular pricing database. That way the pricing will be the same as to what it actually is going to cost for the mobile home application, and you're not going to be giving them money for items that are designed for stick-built homes that, quite frankly, a lot of times they won't even fit into a mobile home opening. So make sure you use these if at all possible when you're putting your estimates together, and keep in mind you're going to depreciate everything, including the doors, the windows. Even if you're just making a repair, you're going to depreciate it, because that's what the policy allows for, is repair or replace, whichever is cheaper. So you want to go and make sure you are sticking to that. And that's basically our mobile home workshop. If you have any questions, I'm going to open it up for Q&A here in just a minute. Let me know. But I did have a couple of questions as we were going along, and I answered those, and I appreciate the feedback. But now this cross section of how they're built, just quickly again, this is how they start with the chassis, and then the wheels, and move up from there, and everything is built in this manner, and in this the way that they put these together is one piece at a time on top of each other, so it's more sturdy. So keep that in mind. Use that if you need to. Topics we plan to discuss this coming week include any cat deployments that are out there. We're going to go over some third-party liability training, and also in the marine claims, theft losses, fire investigations, and any topic that we get through our comments section of our homepage or any place else, any emails that we get, we add those into the podcast as well. We have several interviews that are planned this week. In fact, I'm recording a couple of them tomorrow that'll go with this week's podcasts. We also are helping Action Catastrophe Team expand by getting their message out. If you have not gone to actioncatastropheteam.com, please do that and go to their adjuster information sheet page that's there, and send them your information so that they'll be able to add you to their roster. Next week's webinar, we're going to have a workshop with PJ Zadok of Fine Arts Insurance Consultants about inland marine claims involving fine arts, antiques, collectibles, fire, water, theft claims. It's going to be a really good webinar next week, so please plan on being here with us. And make sure you refer as many of your claim associates to it as well, and get the word out that way. Now I'm going to unmute the phones, or unmute the everybody that's here on the webinar. If you have any questions, now's the time to answer or ask it, and don't be shy. Anybody have any questions? Okay, as I said, I did go and answer a bunch of questions as we were moving through the material. So I've muted everybody again. Let me check to see if there's any additional questions. No, all those were answered. All right, so next, again, I appreciate you joining us today. I know there's better ways that you could be spending your Saturday morning than listening to me, but we'll be having every Saturday morning at 11 o'clock a new webinar, new material, no replays, everything is live. The webinar link that you used for today will get you into all the webinars that we do. So you'll get reminders from GoToWebinar. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to help you. If you want a copy of the mobile home workshop, send me an email to tom@adjusters247.com. That's tom@adjusters247.com. You can also reach me through the cell phone. My personal cell phone is 754-208-7049. Also, we want to make sure that you know about the media resources page that's on our website. That's where we will put copies of not only this webinar, but all of the different resources that we have available. You can download the podcast from there. All of our blog posts are there. You can get a copy of the latest newsletter there. So make sure you go to our homepage, sign up for the newsletter. Make sure you send us any comments or feedback. And again, I appreciate you being with us here today. And if you need anything else, just feel free to contact me at any time. I look forward to seeing you next weekend, and I hope you enjoyed the podcast this week. I hope you have a great weekend. God bless.